Well, good morning, everyone. How are you guys this fine Tuesday morning? Bear with me here just a moment. I'm having a little difficulty with my computer, but 1 second here. I think I've got the problem solved. Just loading the last of my charts. We've just had the opening bell, and for a change, we haven't had any significant gaps, which is kind of nice. I'm trying not to get anything to crash here, so I'm going to take it slow. All right, let's see if this is working any better now. Nope. Every once in a while it gives me this problem. Oh, I'm going to lock it up here in a moment, I know it. Okay, we'll just be safe. We'll do it like this. Come on, get down there. The Trailblazer always seems to take a little extra to load. Not sure why that is, but it does. Okay. So here's the NASDAQ. We'll take a look here, I suppose, on the Eagle. Pretty much sums up the market pretty well. No real activity in the overnight. Yesterday, a little bit of a run up out of the open. Where was it? Right about here, a little bit of a spike. Got a trend change signal. Then a little bit more waffling. And then the market took a big decline in the afternoon session. And it recovered a little bit toward the end of the day. But right now we've got one of these sideways sessions. We are making a lower swing high. That's good. And I suppose technically we did breach the low here. So I know you always hear me say the market might head lower, but really for the time being, we're kind of stuck in this type of range. You can see our trade forecaster says we're currently in scalp mode, but we're quickly moving into trend mode. So it will be interesting to see how long that trend mode is forecast for. Okay, in the meantime, I'm just going to let things settle out here a little bit. It's still very early. And I'm going to take a second here and put my trade manager on my soybean and crude oil charts. Soybeans looking to move a little bit higher. I'm going to bring those over here for you in just a second so you can see those. And crude oil, well, waffling still. So here's soybeans now on the Falcon. And you can see we had a nice little move higher. Kind of hit this sideways action, broke out to the upside. Now we've made a little bit of a retracement, and you shouldn't get too excited about a trend change here because the trend is mostly up. This may turn out to be a bull flag, in which case we can expect soybeans maybe to head a little bit higher. Working on what appears to be a late filter entry signal. Notice our trend line currently still in sync, still green, filter out of sync, waiting for everything to come back into sync. Okay, we might be able to get more serious here in just a moment. Are you guys able to hear me? Looks like Dan is having some audio issues. Okay, I might take a chance on this one here. Oh, come back. I saw the signal late. I wanted to take it from here. Oh, and it looks like it would have worked out all right. Or at least got me to a break-even situation. Okay, that's okay. We'll hang with it for a moment. We had that first micro-macro cross here in the hawk also. This is what actually caught my attention. This first micro-macro cross right here, and you can see we had some very nice follow-through. In fact, I might throw a runner on today. All right, let's see. Let's see, Kay's asking about a trend signal on crude oil. So I'm assuming, ooh, look at that. Trade Forecaster says trend mode for about 2 hours. And so here's the signal right here. Let's dial this back a couple of notches. So we're getting a red bar buy, which we know is a strong signal. You know what? That would be very tempting. I would let it turn over. I would use this as the signal bar. Let's see, what's that going to cost to be wrong? You see, the problem with this, the way it's transitioning, is right now it's hard to say, have we had a real test of the extreme? It may turn out that this was the test of the extreme right here, and now the market's going to rally from there. We know that crude is trading a little bit low at 45 a barrel, right? That's kind of a low price for crude. So I would try to risk this as deep as I could. If I could risk it below there, that would definitely be the place to take it. Otherwise, oh, darn, I can't even do that. How tight do I have to frame that? I have to frame it like this. Now, not to panic, if you didn't take that signal, you should have another chance here. Because what tends to happen when the market changes direction is you'll get one of these types of situations. This is what we're looking at, but in reverse, where the market is changing direction. We're getting a green bar sell, and that's usually followed by a with trend signal not too much later. So here we're getting a red bar buy. As it gets through here, we're probably going to get a green with trend signal. So I wouldn't worry about missing that opportunity. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's looking like crude is setting up to head higher. In fact, there is a first micro-macro cross opportunity here on the hawk. It's occurring right at the top end of this trading range. The problem, well, it's the same as always with crude. Trying to keep your stop far enough back. I would definitely take it above the high. Above this swing high, not necessarily that one. You could. Chances are, if it fills me above this swing high, it's probably going to tag me on that one too. We'll see how that plays out. So far the trend line's very little help. We'll just put that away for the moment. And here come the buyers again. Well, fairly neutral day to start, I would say. We had a little move lower. Here the eagle sums it up pretty good. So this was our move out of the gate, a little bounce lower, hit the bottom end of the trading range, and now here we are pretty much where the day began again. not to clutter things too much, but we'll throw a trend line on the top here. I better pay more attention to my hawk. My goodness, these first micro macro crosses. We had a really good one here, a very good one here. Well, at least good enough to hit our profit objective. Good morning, Jim. Jim's giving me the advanced decline numbers. We're about a positive 600 so far. So that would tend to give the day a slight bullish flavor. Okay, everybody just trying to sort themselves out. So here on the, well, I guess the eagle is pretty good. We saw the reaction here to the lows. Now we're seeing a reaction to the trend line. And even though these lines really don't exist, except on our computer, on our charts, you know that there's traders there putting some sort of emphasis on them. And it looks like we're going to come back with a green bar sell. And that might be worth trying. Well done, Kay. Yep, I saw that crude oil just made that little bit of a hop here off that first micro macro cross. So I bagged $100 on that. Well done. Oop, it was that macro pullback I was waiting for on the hawk, but I think what I'm going to do is we're going to look at this Falcon trade. Okay, this, I should dial down the risk on this because this is a little bit of an early trade still. Well, they did slip us a tick, slip me a tick. Oops, come on, baby. Close enough. Okay, so now as we're getting closer to these highs, you can see the market's struggling a little bit. Come on, buyers. Come on, don't leave me hanging there. There's got to be one more swing. Jim says the Russell and the Bank Index both very strong, so hopefully that'll help pull things a little bit higher. Josh reminding me that there's news at the top of the hour. And yes, Phil, excuse me. Thank you, Phil. That's a good point. For those of you who are not aware of it, we have a Facebook group now for DTS, and if you're a Raptor owner, for the Raptor also. And let me see if I can get that up here. I'm not the best Facebook person. And now this is a private group. It's only available to DTS owners, but there's just a snapshot, and you can see we share some charts and some discussions and stuff. So if you are a DTS owner or a Raptor owner, you should have received a request asking if you would be interested in joining. And we would love your participation. So if you have not yet received that, you can certainly email Adam at indicatorwarehouse.com and he can get you set up with that. Okay, my Falcon trade is laboring a little bit, which I'm not real happy about. I think it's almost time. I'd love to see one more green bar through here. There we go. Come on. Then I think I'm going to start. Here we go. Let's get the trade up to here until I can get this adjusted. I'm just going to give it that one bar. If it fails at this point, well, I'm going to take my lumps. So we're pressing. You see the buyers and sellers trading punches here. Come on, buyers. If you're really serious about this, you'd better get a move on. Oh, just a couple of ticks shy of my break even, and that's those couple of ticks that I delayed right there. Come on, get up there. Oh, no, they're going to tap me. All right. Well, they're obviously not committed to going higher. All right. Couple of interesting things going on here. Yeah, this market definitely waffling a little bit. We're getting a red bar buy signal here, which tends to develop near the end of the trend most times. We're still kind of in this whole sideways action, so anything that we do within here is kind of going to be a little bit risky. However, we could set up to sell the failure. This one too is like throwing a little bit of a dart, but it didn't want to go higher, so I may give this a go, and that might be the last one that I just take a poke at. And let's see if they take out the support here. Come on now. You see, we took a little bit of positive slip on this one. We don't get that too often. Come on. Oh, you scoundrels. Get down there. Just about hit the profit objective, just turned on their heel. And I left it, you see we had the positive slip, I left it one tick further. Had I tightened it up, all right, okay. No, I was just about to try to get a little bit more aggressive with that, but okay, now we're working on the first micro macro cross lower, so it's still kind of a messed up market for the most part. But it does seem as though they are paying to the downside. Yeah, so we scalped a little bit to the downside, scalped a little bit to the upside. Still pretty indecisive today. I thought, seeing that it was going to head higher and then it failed, and I thought for sure we were going to see a bigger move lower. Yeah, the advanced decline slightly more bullish, slightly up to about positive 700, positive 800, somewhere in that neighborhood, Jim says. So Jim suggesting we might be seeing an inverse head and shoulders. So what he's looking at is this type of situation. Oops. Where if this holds now and rallies, we would expect a buying opportunity. So all these formations like head and shoulders, cups and saucers, 1, 2, 3 formations, and the like, they're all basically showing you a test of the extreme. They're trying to show you which way the market is likely to move, who is more likely to have control. And at the moment, that would be nobody. Yeah, like Jim says, swapping spit mode. Yeah, that's about it. Okay. All right, so we're getting an early trend change signal here in the Falcon. We had an early reversal signal there in the Raptor, and now the Eagle is just about to turn over on our ATR line. So this bar that we're working on right now is going to be our signal bar. Can I cover it all the way down there? No, I can't. Can I cover it below that swing? Yes, I can. So all I'm doing here And this is a little bit of a, it isn't the strongest of signals, because this market is still very, very sideways, right? If you looked at this chart objectively, it's definitely moving sideways. There's no trend. So what I'm trying to do here is actually second guess what the trend is going to be. And we've made a higher swing low, which suggests that the buyers have control or are trying to gain control. Okay, Kay is asking an excellent question. Isn't it too risky because of the resistance right up here? Well, yes and no. Obviously, there is resistance here. The more cautious way of approaching this trade is to let it break, retest, and then look for a buying opportunity somewhere around here. The more aggressive posture that I'm taking is based on this higher swing low, right? If we dial this back a little bit and we kind of see how this is unfolding, we can say, all right, the market made a reasonable run up. The sellers grabbed the market here and started to force it down. The buyers picked up the support on the lows, right? These swing lows through here, right through here. This is where the buyers got to be active again. So the buyers are trying to recover the trend, namely this emerging trend right here. The sellers say, oh, no, you don't, and they push them back down, and they force them back to the same neighborhood. Now, the break was not substantial. You know, it wasn't like they pushed the market well below here. It was this type of break. It is a break, yes, but it's not a significant break. So from here, the buyers step up again and they push the market all the way back to the highs, or this more recent swing high, I should say. And then from here, the sellers say, oh, no, you don't, and they push down, and now the buyers start to press early. This is a clue that the buyers now have control and that they're going to try to take out the highs, that they're really going to make an effort this time. And so they try, and now the sellers are showing their hand again. Okay, the buyers should step up here one more time. And that will be my cue that I can start rolling my stops. Now what you can do a lot of times too is when you spot these areas of resistance is you can let the market break out, you can let it retest, and you can let it go higher. Same thing to the downside. You can let it break out, you can let it retest, and then you can set up to take the trade lower. So looking for the buyers to come back somewhere around here. Oh, buyers, where'd you go? Okay, so you see the buyers are trying to regain some control now. The closer we get to this level of support where the swing point was the last time, the harder the buyers are going to push. And of course, if they fail at this point, well then that's definitely our cue that we're on the wrong side. And I may go try to set up for a more aggressive stop strategy. There we go. Come on, give me that red bar. Come on. There we go. Okay, let's see if we get that red bar buy. All right, here come the buyers. So the buyers still showing that we have some control in the market. I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive with my stops now. I'm pretty much, this is all I'm going to give the buyers. If they fail on this push now, then you may as well stop me out. Because the sellers, if the sellers turn the market again, well, then it's probably a done deal for the buyers. Okay, let's get up there. Come on. Come on. You know you want to. Yeah, Kay's saying, lower highs. Well, yes, not substantially lower. I would recommend that you don't micromanage. You know, like this is a higher swing. This one technically it's like a tick or two lower than this one, but I think it's on par with this one. Or one tick lower. I would put one tick at pretty much the same level. I recommend when you're looking at stuff like this that you go for the obvious, right? If it looks like a swing, then it's a swing. But I've worked with people who will, you know, they'll look at a series of bars and they'll say, oh, we've made a swing lower because this bar is trading lower than this bar. Well, I suppose in the absolute most technical sense of it, that's true. But I wouldn't have, you know, I would make my swing over here. And I would not regard this little stuff that happens. All right, so we just got hit on our trailing stop, which is okay. And still a real dog's breakfast, as they say. Kay says, could it be a triangle then? Yes, definitely. We do have a type of wedge type formation going on here. I would definitely agree with that. So we have this type of wedging going on. And now that we've broken through the downside, and you can do this with wedge formations or channels or whatever, I would be looking for a retest or a test to the extreme, because we know the buyers were active right here, right? At this level. So I would like to see the buyers try it again, namely this part right here. And if the sellers are serious about overwhelming the buyers this time, they're going to take the market back early. They're going to give us a more obvious swing. normally, right? I'm talking what the market usually does. And we should see a more obvious swing and then the market head lower from there. And if it doesn't, well, it's just going to keep going sideways. We almost have a range within a range. All right, now let's see what the sellers can do, if anything. So you see we've had a green bar sell, red bar buys. These all tend to be pretty good signals when they're with trend, but very little follow through at the moment. Our hawk is showing us a lot of yellow bars clustering. Yeah, Phil says it's his favorite, maple syrup. Yeah, the market's very sticky today, very syrupy. Well, after crude oil's early run up, it's gone pretty much flat. So I'll bring crude oil over here for a second, and you can see it on the Falcon. So we had that little bit of a run higher. Look at that, hit that secondary resistance line and boom, knocked it right back down. So it looks like they're pretty much stuck between 46.20 and 45.60, somewhere in that neighborhood. Non-committal for crude, but like I said, those are pretty low prices for crude oil. Ay, 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 ay. And here we come with yet another buy signal here on the Falcon. Okay, I still got a onesie. Oh, darn it. It ran away on me. Oh, I do get a signal here on the Eagle. All right. So I'm going to take it above the high. I'm going to risk it down there. Now this is the same kind of scenario that we've been tracking the whole time, right? Trying to judge who has control of the market at the moment. And right now the buyers seem to be holding their own, so they're going to press the sellers again. The seller's going to try to knock them down again, and hopefully this time the buyers will come back. With a little bit more effort. Not quite the follow through I was hoping for. See, a lot of times when you encounter these levels like this that are well-defined resistance levels, we know where the stop loss orders are. right? They're right above here, above these swing highs. They're not usually too far away. Most traders trade very tight. They don't trade like we do, where we try to give ourselves a more generous stop, try to hold out. So when these orders get tripped, very often that adds fuel to the fire, and you'll actually see the market move a little bit faster. But not at the moment. Oh, Jim's giving me the lowdown here. The color commentary says the transports made 5 new higher highs. The market's going to roll over. They're definitely sideways, no question about that. They've been more or less sideways since the open. Soybeans looking a little bit bearish today. Let's take a look at the soybean market. So we have a rule of 3 here, actually. It's not the prettiest rule of 3. Now, a rule of 3 occurs on your eagle, and it occurs when you're generating 3 sell signals against the band, against a bullish band. The problem I'm having here is that the rule of 3 tends to be the most reliable when we've had a test of the extreme first. Now, in hindsight, this little hiccup back here may turn out to be the test of the extreme, but right now it's kind of tough to tell, isn't it? So we're not in sync with the ATR line yet. Pardon me. I suppose we could let it turn over and use that bar as our entry, as our signal bar, which would place our entry there, below the trend line, more or less out of harm's way. Can I cover above the high? No, I can't. That would be about the best that I could muster right now. So not a bad opportunity in soybeans, but we're starting to get a little bit of confluence now between the charts. We're starting to see a first micro-macro cross signal, also at the bottom end of this trading range. That would enable us to take a trade with a little less initial exposure. Okay, it looks like I can get a little bit more aggressive with my stops now. Oh, stop that. That's... Oops. Sorry, that one never triggered. What's up with that? Okay, so you see how we're starting to engage some of these orders now? The market's getting a little bit more active to the upside. Come on, don't stop now. Yeah, I'm going to squeeze it. Here we go. I'm only going to give it the couple of bars back. If you're going to go, you better go. All right, Jim. Jim's off to the golf course. He's saying he's loving the S&R suite, and it is on special still for a couple of days. The support and resistance suite, this assortment of lines that we have right here. It is on special for 20% off until Wednesday. And let me get you some of that information about that if you're interested. Okay, there's the support and resistance suite link, and the discount code is USNR20 and all caps. Now they're floundering again. They're going to tap me here in a moment. And admittedly, I am being very aggressive with my stop. I am in scalp mode here. I should be more conservative with my stop. Scalp mode means the market's going to bounce around a little bit more. I should perhaps run a looser stop, run a, all in, all out profit target, but I just don't feel like watching this market peel against me. So I'm going to put the heat on. If they take me out, they'll take me out. If the buyers are serious, they made a break here, they better get their act together and start buying. Otherwise, I don't want any part of it. Oh, come on. Nope. All right. Well, be that way then. Jamie's asking about the Geiger counter. Does it reset every time a chart is changed? Um, yes, if you're only trading on a single monitor, and let's say you refresh your chart or change markets, the Geiger counter will begin counting again from zero. So it also refreshes. So depending on the overflow, you'll have to wait a minute or two to allow it to build. Now the Geiger counter should be more of a complementary tool. I don't know if I would look at the Geiger counter and watch it'll make a liar out of me, and look at it and the needle full on red like this and then blindly sell. I don't know. I don't think I would recommend that to you. However, if I was looking at a sell signal and I was looking here and I saw, I had some structure, I had a test of the extreme, and the market comes back and it's printing a sell signal, and my Geiger counter is bearish, I think that would lend some favor to selling the market at that point. Or if I were long, let's say I bought back here, market's moving higher, and now my Geiger counter is full on red. If I had an open position here, I think I would get a lot more serious about placing a tighter stop. But I don't think I would blindly buy or sell it just because the Geiger counter is bullish or bearish. Yes, unfortunately though, it does rebuild when you get a new screen or you change charts. All right, another red bar buy signal. We have had a little itty bitty test of the extreme. I'm going to try this to the short side this time because they didn't want to go up. Let's see if they'll go down. Boy, some of you guys have been around the block here. I'm getting questions from you that you don't normally get from newbie traders. So Jamie's asking again about the Geiger counter. Is the workaround to have a chart open with the instrument on it you may be trading? That's a good idea. You can see I run multiple charts, right? And what I do is I stack them. You can't see it here because it's on my other monitor, but in the system bar at the bottom, they're all stacked. And then I just pull them up as I need them, right? So while I may have, or you can minimize them like this, so you can watch however many charts you want, and then you can just expand it if something looks interesting. That way you'll always have an active Geiger counter. So yes, I think that's a good workaround. If you have a chart open with the Geiger counter on it. And Jamie asked, but it's the only way to fathom bid and ask urgency, isn't it? Is there another way to measure bid and ask numbers, aka delta? And that's the one where I went, wow. Jamie's been at this for a little while because normally traders don't ask about delta. You know, the bid and ask, the time in sales is useful information, but it can also drive you crazy. The Geiger counter, like currently we're short here on our hawk trade. And it's struggling a little bit, not quite, again, the follow through is not there today. We're breaching support, we're breaching resistance, and there's very little follow through at the moment. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping an eye on the Geiger counter. It was neutral here for a moment. Now it's getting more bearish. So that's giving me some confidence in this trade. So I can perhaps roll my stop in a little bit, because I'm fairly confident that we're going to find, okay, we just hit the break-even target. And with a little bit of luck, we're going to hit that profit objective. Oh, man. Cannot get a break out of these guys today. But I would be using it, as a trade management tool also. Maybe not so much initiating the trade, but certainly managing the position. I do believe that was its original intent. One of our members said, I need a way that I can tell whether or not I need to be getting more aggressive with my stops. If I'm in a trade, do I need to manage the trade more aggressively? So the scoundrels tagged me here just a little bit early on that eagle trade, or pardon me, that hawk trade. Now they're slipping a bit. Question here from Sean about the trade forecaster. Sean asks, Eric, I was wondering which of the three trade forecaster environments would be best suited when trading with the raptor, seeing the raptor is a combination of all three birds. Okay, very good question. One thing you need to understand about the trade forecaster is, okay, right now we're in scalp mode. That does not mean focus on the hawk, ignore your falcon and eagle signals. That's not what that means. What scalp mode means, and we've been switching between swing and scalp most of the morning, is that the market environment is going to be choppy. And you can see that. That's what we've had all morning long. We've had very little follow through. We've had some pretty wild swings. Therefore, if you get a signal that you're going to take, knowing that you are in scalp mode, you should probably run a wider stop. You should probably be more aggressive on your profit target. Maybe we'll snug in the profit target a little bit. You should probably be all in, all out. These types of things are ways to protect yourself when you're in a scalping type environment. When you're in a trend type environment, that's not necessarily going to say the market's going to make a full-blown move higher or lower. Very often it does. But it does say that in trend mode, the pullbacks are going to be more subdued. Let me find you a better example. That's kind of the extreme one. And again, it doesn't mean that you simply trade your eagle and you ignore your other two charts. I can almost guarantee you that throughout this area here, the market was in trend mode, and not because it made a substantial move higher, but I can tell the pullbacks were light. There was a light pullback here. There was a little bit more of a pullback here. It may have actually switched to swing mode for a moment, but the pullbacks are smaller. The market is not as wild. It's going to tend to have better follow through. So what that means to you is when the trade forecaster is in trend mode, you can maybe afford to be a little bit more aggressive with your entry. You can be a little bit more aggressive with your stops. You can be a little bit more aggressive with your profit targets, maybe even expand your profit targets somewhat, because you're anticipating the market to be calmer. You know, it's going to be a calmer sea. I don't know if you live anywhere near the ocean. I do. And, you know, if you're out on the water, and if you had a scalp mode and a trend mode, you would definitely know the difference, right? The scalp mode, the boat would be rocking all over the place, and whereas in trend mode, it would be smooth sailing. So it's almost the same idea with the trade forecaster. Swing mode is going to be somewhere in between that. So no, it totally applies to the Raptor also. And like I say, it will help you determine what type of, how aggressive you want to be with the market. Jamie's asking, is there a limit on the number of charts that can be opened? No, as many as your computer will handle. I have got, I normally run anywhere from 12 to 15 charts at the same time. And my computer is nothing special. All right, so now things are getting a little bit more interesting. We had another trend change, first micro macro cross lower that had good follow through on it, even though it did stop me out a little bit early. And now we're struggling against the lows. Just checking your questions, making sure I haven't forgotten anybody. If I have, please call my attention to it. All right. I'm getting a little bit anxious here. I'm anticipating a 3-arrow consolidation or a 4-arrow consolidation. We don't have it yet. That's why I've placed my entry below the low. And tried to give myself a very deep stop. Wow, they're just crazy this morning. Okay, now we're into a macro pullback type situation. I'm not getting a real warm fuzzy feeling, but it is a signal, and very often the DTS tools prove themselves smarter than me. Trying to work this macro pullback. Let's go. Possible trend change signal here on the Falcon. So here's the down portion. Our trend line changed color. Here's the up portion. We're working on a warning dot. All right. So I can anticipate the sell signal is going to print right there. And this too is a little bit of a crapshoot. We just don't have the structure that we normally would get. All right, the Raptor also giving us a comparable sell signal. This may build into a double pullback yet. Double pullback into the hard edge, I mean. All right, sellers. Kay is asking, aren't you afraid because of the primary resistance? Well, you know, again, I'm trying to judge which way the market is leaning. And always remember, like these are very good points that you're bringing up. And admittedly, I'm being more aggressive with it. You can always let it break the primary resistance or the primary support, retest, and then look to buy. This is the safer plan. So here, I can let it break, retest, and then look to sell. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. What I'm doing, though, is I'm looking at the signal on its own. So we've got a trend change signal, which I know is a high probability signal. I'm trading the signal itself, and if the market bounces here, I saw that I had enough room that I could at least get the trade to a break-even situation, maybe even find my profit target, or maybe even punch out with target or with profit. Because look, we're flashing about $70, $80 there. There's nothing wrong with grabbing that. But no, it's a valid point. Keep in mind, though, that if the market never broke a support or resistance level, it would be flatline in 2 days. Right? Okay, so we've reached our profit objective. We've now broken the primary support. Let's see how far it goes here before we get that little bit of a reaction and a retest. And in the meantime, I'm going to, okay, it looks like our hawk trade worked out. I thought I had a runner on the hawk trade. Okay, whatever. I do have a runner here on the Raptor, and I better get a little bit more aggressive with that because we've got a fair amount of open profit. All right, we'll go with parabolics. We're back into the low from today. All right, come on, take out that low. And we're going to start to get some downward momentum. so we've broken the primary. Well, there was a tiny reaction here, but that doesn't really count. I would expect to see a little bit more of a retest. Now these things too, you have to remember, sometimes these things get drawn out a little bit, right? It may go like this, it may come back and retest over here somewhere, and this may well take a half an hour to perform. And then it will go 2 zones lower. Right? Because once we breach primary support, we anticipate a 2-zone target. So I'm looking down here at around 45.34, 35 as a possible profit objective for today. Just like when it broke the median line here, you see it didn't make, well, I suppose it did make an immediate reversal here, but it stretched out a little bit, made a bigger reversal, came back, gave you a buy signal, failed, came back, hit it again. This bar was trying to recover off of the median line. You see this? This was green for a little while before it turned over and started heading lower. Sometimes the best things to do is just to roll back into your chart and just watch how these things unfold. Here's a very good example of what I was trying to get at. So the market breaches the median line. Look how long it takes to recover and retest. Right? So it recovers, it retests, generates a sell signal here. Not the best looking sell signal because our trend line is out of sync, but our Raptor or Eagle or one of our Hawk, one of our other tools was probably in sync with that, giving us an opportunity to take advantage of that move back to the primary support. But what I was going to say is you can always roll back your charts and just see what the reaction and the reaction looks like, so you have a better idea of what to anticipate. And like I say, sometimes it takes a little while. Like look at this one. This one broke, went all the way to the primary resistance, came back, and here was the reaction way back here. And that was to the break of the median line. All right, looks like we're getting our reaction now. And parabolics have been very aggressive, moving my stops in. I do believe there's some room to move to the downside here still, though. Whether it reaches 45.35 or not, well, that remains to be seen. The other day we were looking and I said that it was unlikely that it was going to reach such and such a resistance area based on the support and resistance suite. And sure enough, by the end of the day, it went that high and then some. So it's sometimes you have to, trust the signals a little bit. Okay, our Raptor trade working pretty well so far. Come on, get down there. Let's take out a few more of those buyers and nice thing about parabolics is that they will tend to hold you in for the majority of a move. They're not so good here during this sideways stuff. You see how the market was reacting here, whipsawing back and forth. But when a market does pick a direction, they tend to hold you in for the better part of the move. And of course, never be shy about letting your pocketbook be your guide. There's nothing wrong with saying, okay, I'll take the $200, thank you very much. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Looks like we would have been stopped here anyhow, so just as well. I punched out. All right, not a bad morning. All right, Kay's asking about a head and shoulders pattern on the crude oil Falcon. Yeah, I can see that. See, the problem we have though right now is we're working on a possible test of the extreme rather than do the head and shoulders. And for those of you unfamiliar with it, a head and shoulders is this type of formation where it looks like you have a head, shoulders, and the idea is that you draw your line like this and you short it right here. And then if you have what they call an inverse head and shoulders, it would do the opposite. And once again, the idea is that you would buy right here. But rather than focus on the entire head and shoulders formation, I would recommend that you focus on this part here and on this part here. Because this is showing you the test of the extreme and the failure. So this is the extreme price right here. You can see the market comes up short and heads higher. Here's the extreme price right here. Oops, sorry. You can see the market comes up short and heads lower. All right. The reason I mention that is because crude oil at the moment can be seen to have a bullish head and shoulders or a bearish head and shoulders. Right? You have like an inverse setup right here. Or you're also working on a bullish one right here, right? If it fails. It's waffling too much. There's no real commitment here, right? It's making higher swing lows, it's making lower swing highs. It's giving you a mixed bag of information. Therefore, the best thing to do is just bracket the whole mess and let it get outside of that range. Now, yes, you might lose a couple of ticks entering late, but really, this is crude oil. You don't want to get in on the wrong side of this market because it'll sting you bad. So you can even wait for the breakout and the retest, and it will happen. You get the breakout and the retest. That's the safe play, right? That's what I want to say the smart money is going to do. You don't have to commit early, although at the moment it looks like the buyers may be having control. We're working on a little bit of a trend change signal here. You can always just go back to trusting your tools too. But for the most part, I don't think we're going to see too much of a move out of crude oil. They may be getting stacked for tomorrow's inventory report. But keep watching for that test of the extreme and the failure. Right now we have the buyers in control. Here was the extreme price. Here was the test. It started moving higher. So currently the buyers have control. Well, soybeans never did too much today. We looked at them earlier. They took a little bit of a, looks like a little bit of a bounce off of the trend line. Working now on a proper test of the extreme. It took them a little while. So now we're working on this test of the extreme. If they fail here and start heading lower, I think we're going to see a breach of the trend line. I think we're going to see the market tail off a little bit. But nothing too much in the soybean market right now. All right, you guys will hang with it for a few more minutes, but it looks like they're starting to get really kind of soft again. We're back near yesterday's lows, I think, 45.45. That sounds like a familiar number. Oh, pretty close. So we're seeing a little bit of a reaction there to yesterday's lows. Good news is we know there's active buying here. So now we just need to wait and see where the sellers get busy. Well, it looks like they've dried up here for a moment, folks. So I think we're going to shut down the trading room for this morning. Remember, tomorrow is the open house room. So we're going to meet at the other room address. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning then, bright and early. All right. Have a good day. If you're trading this afternoon, I think selling opportunities is the way to go. I think stay alert for a selling opportunity. We might see that retrace here to the primary support at the 45.57 line. Would not be surprised to see a reaction there. You're going to see that's going to put us awfully close to our hard edge on our band on the Eagle and Raptor also. Okay, you guys, catch up with you in the morning. Talk to you then. Bye for now.